first of all, my awesome producer, Wendy West, and her cohort back there. What's her name?
Oh, her name is Ice.
Ice. Oh, she's got a beautiful voice. Maybe we'll hear it later on.
Of course,
And
you'll love her.
my amazing guest, Skip Milos. And today is a great day because as this whole platform really talks about is tapping into that authentic genius. But when is it that you really get to tap into that authentic genius? When are you there? What has to happen for that transformation for you to manifest itself in real life? The truth is that as we go through life, as we have our new learnings, new experiences, it almost seems that we have missions that we complete. It's almost like every 7 to 10 years, we've completed a mission and then we get a new one. I'm really excited about this platform again because it's about hearing those real stories, the real people, the real conversations about their lives, what happened to them, so that this can be an inspiration for others. Perhaps ideas that they can use, they can model success, because all of this is about personal success and personal transformation. And so I want to welcome Skip Milos, a great friend of mine. He has undergone some incredible transformations himself, and an amazing photographer, an amazing musician, amazing guy, just all the way around. And really, quite frankly, he's still inventing himself. So welcome, Skip.
Hi, thanks, Bart.
So you were sharing with me earlier on something that's very unique and special about you. And let me start off with your passion today, just so that we could put the backdrop of where you are today, and then let's go back. We'll dial back to where you actually came from.
Well, these days it's photography. I've been I've been the team photographer for the Tampa Bay Rays for this will be my 15th year. That's no small miracle. And oh gosh, I wouldn't know where to start. I have so many clients in the Bay Area. The list goes on forever, and I am just like one of the luckiest photographers you could ever want to meet. And that's what I've been doing for almost 20 years now. I guess maybe I could start in the middle and then go forward and then go back.
Well, let me just qualify something for the listeners.
Sure.
I met Skip earlier on when he was just really getting into photography,
Yeah.
and this guy is phenomenal. And I am experiencing your humility right now about the quality of your photography, but you're an amazing artist, and so I just want to put that into perspective because you know what, people deserve to know that you've accomplished a lot. So I know that you want to talk about your story, so go ahead.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, Bart, and I have my moments. I get lucky once in a while, and I come up with a great photograph. But kind of how I got into photography, and I'll kind of start in the middle and then bring it up to date, and then we can talk about my wretched past if you like. I was a musician for many, many years, and I decided I wanted to retire and build a recording studio here in Newport Richey and kind of get off the road and offer musicians an opportunity that I never had when I was coming up as a musician. And, that was really good recording at a fairly inexpensive price. And so I built a whole house and a big recording studio and brought in a whole bunch of equipment. And inside of 6 months, I went dead broke. I couldn't find anybody to record anything. And then if I did find somebody to record anything, they wouldn't pay me. And so it was going really bad. So what happened is back then, this is like 90, oh gosh, I'm not even sure, 95 or 6 maybe. The internet was still basically being used to transfer information from one university to another. But a few of the recording studios had gotten online with this whole idea, and they were exchanging information. So I thought if I could figure out how to build one of these things called a website, and I'm talking, this is a long time ago, man. Coca-Cola didn't have a website yet. They didn't know what it was. This was really, really new. If I could do that, maybe I could generate some business for the studio. So I got into some chat rooms, and even that was a challenge because nobody really knew how to do that. I had to beta test some software just to get into a chat room to talk to people about how to build a website. And I'm going to make this real short. I built one, and it was really nice, especially for the time. And the phone started to ring, and everybody that was calling the studio wanted to know who built the website. And I'm getting irritated, because we record things here, and people want websites, and being the genius that I am, I hung up on at least 15 businesses that were calling me, including Tech Data, that had a check in hand to build them a website, and I'm insulting them on the phone, telling them that we're a recording studio. So finally, the phone rang one day, and I looked at my partner and I said, "Hi, Skip Milos Productions web design. Can I help you?" And the person on the other end of the phone wanted a website, and I says, "Yep, that's what we do. We build the best websites in the whole world." And I really didn't know anything about it. So I sold all the recording gear off to a studio in Miami and brought in a couple of computers and started beta testing software. And you know the rest of that story, because I think I built your first website, as a
You
matter of
did.
fact.
Yes,
Yeah.
you did.
And it was pretty phenomenal for the time. Yeah.
Actually, it was way ahead of its time for the first 5 years that I had it, and
Exactly. It
I
really, really
still
was.
talk to everybody about this. I'm a guy that likes to see past the horizon. Just to have an idea of what's possible in the future, and
Mhm.
clearly you were doing that too at that time.
Yeah. Well, I've had a lot of people, you know, compliment me in my life, telling me, how I'm never afraid to try this or to do that, but the truth of the whole thing is I have just pretty much fallen ass backward into everything I do. And I know I'm not supposed to use any 3 or 4 letter words here, but I don't know how else to explain that
You're
part
gonna
of my
get in
life.
trouble with Wendy if you do. I mean, then
Yeah.
she's gonna
It's,
shut me
well,
off.
Mindy, it's
I
absolutely
don't mind too much. It's just as long as it's you cursing and not me, we're golden.
yeah. I don't take any credit for almost any of the success I have in my life. I've just kind of bounced from one thing to another. One thing I'll say, and this has always been one of my favorite expressions that I'm trying not to do anymore, is I've felt I was too stupid to realize I couldn't do half of this stuff at the time I was doing it, and that's one of the reasons I had some success in it. But about where I come from and where I've come to be, can I talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah,
Great, because
you got it.
this is like the cool stuff that I wanted to talk about tonight. Um, boy, where do I start? Okay, maybe we could start with a beat up van that was parked under the Dunedin Causeway in 1987. And that was my home for 3.5 months. And my life up to that point was actually worse at times. Now, I'm not trying to get a bunch of, oh, poor Skip kind of a thing going here. I never felt sorry for myself for an instant in my entire life, but I come from a really, really, really humble beginning childhood, and then a lot of really difficult times. I left home really early, not ready for anything. I was like 15 or something. And I wanted to be a musician. I just loved showbiz, but it was a very, very difficult life for me. And I turned to alcohol and drugs like a lot of other people. And I mean, I've never done a mean thing to another person in my entire life, but I about killed myself more than once. And I couldn't seem to figure out a way to get out of this pattern. It just, every time I would experience a teeny little bit of success, I would find myself right back in that same kind of a situation. I just couldn't figure out how to get out of it. So um, I decided that maybe drinking was a big problem in my life. This was 27 years ago. So and obviously it was, because I had been Baker acted twice, and, and even that didn't turn a light bulb on in my head. But
How old were you then?
one day I found myself in an AA meeting. Um, and I wasn't sure if I was really one of these people, but what I instantly realized is they knew something that I didn't know. And for the first time in my life, I became teachable. I think that was like a big, big part of the things that were about to happen to me. The second thing that happened almost immediately after that is I met a man named Al Rice, who I can't even speak about without getting a little choked up. Al was the most important man in my life ever, bar none. He was one of the smartest, kindest, um, And he was smart too, PhDs and this and a doctor and that. And oh my God, he never really spoke about any of that stuff, though. I just did my research and I knew what a bright man he was. Well, anyway, he took me under his wing and he helped me how to, first of all, quit abusing myself with drugs and alcohol. But he also showed me that I was a person who had worth. And can I share a little exercise he had me do? He had me do a million exercises, and most of them were pretty demoralizing.
Well, as long as Wendy can do it.
Anybody can do this.
I'll do it.
These exercises weren't actually difficult to do, other than I thought I was going to die, in the process. But I suffered terribly from panic attacks in those days too. But anyway, the most memorable exercise Al had me do, and like I say, he had me do literally dozens of these, and I did every one to the letter because I wanted to live. I wanted to have a good life. I wanted to have it all. So please understand, I'm about 6 months sober at this time. Everything is new to me. I have about this much self-esteem, okay? And Al spotted that as my biggest problem. I had no self-esteem at all. So Al told me, we're going to do an exercise. I want you to go to a restaurant, a nice restaurant, a restaurant where they will seat you for dinner. So back in those days, with the kind of money I had, I thought Bob Evans was a pretty good, but they seat you at a Bob Evans, okay? So what I was supposed to do is I'm supposed to go to a nice restaurant where they seat you. And after they seat me, somebody will probably come around and clear off the silverware because I'm going by myself. So they'll take away the extra silverware. They'll bring me some water. They'll get me all situated and ask me what I'd like to order. And at that time, I'm supposed to tell them that I would like another table. So right off the bat, my mind's clicking and I'm way ahead of them. There's a draft where I'm sitting. I'm too close to the kitchen. There's a light coming in that's bothering me. It's noisy, whatever. And then he says, but you can't tell them why you would like another table. So now I'm not feeling so good about this. And then he goes on to say, he goes on to say, the worst part of this whole thing is I'm not supposed to pick the table. I know. And so at this point, I'm thinking, well, I'm going to look like some jerk that came in here just to give everybody a hard time. And I'm starting to sweat just at the thought of this. I mean, how arrogant is that to come into a place, they offer you a table. So I'm supposed to tell them, it's okay, you pick the table. So a couple of things happened. One, I didn't have a panic attack and die in the restaurant. And two, man, I got the best service I've ever had in my life. Those people were so kind to me. It was incredible. And then it hit me. Al was trying to get me to understand that I'm worth any table in any restaurant, and I don't have to tell them why. Mm-hmm. And that changed my life. It was the biggest moment of my entire life. I really can't explain the things that started to happen after that. So from there, our work continued, and Al got me involved in service. I mean, before I was even making enough money to live in my own apartment, I'm running around helping other people that need a leg up. And that was the second biggest thing that's ever happened in my life, is to understand how important and how much you get back from giving freely of yourself and dedicating a huge part of your life to service, to whatever it is. I don't care, just so long as you don't have your hand out, so long as you're just doing it to help somebody or something else. And so that became a big part of my life right at that time. And I don't think I ever have a better day, a happier moment, a more fulfilled sensation than when I'm helping people that need some help today. It's just like the greatest thing ever. So one of the things that I've gotten involved in, oh, and by the way, Al passed away, God, so many years ago. I miss that guy terribly. But he did, he was always giving me things to read, but this is my favorite book. This is by Florence Scovel Shinn. She wrote a book called let me back up. The opening line in this book is one of my favorite lines. And it's also another little thing that I live by and have for quite some time now. And the opening line in the book starts like this. It says, "Most people think life is a battle. God knows I did, but it's not. It's a game. It's simply a game. And when you learn the rules of the game and you approach it from a fun, lighthearted, you know, way of looking at things, it is just a game, and it becomes really fun rather than this awful thing that you have to deal with every day." So anyway, this is Al, and I need to read this because this is just the way he was. This is a dedication he gave to me in this book, and it says, "Skip, every once in a lifetime, someone enters your life and brightens it just by being himself. It is this rare and precious gift that I have received by knowing you, Al." Yeah, I can't, man, you know, that's my point. He makes it look like I did something for him. Wow, nothing could be more off track than that. So anyway, nowadays, my biggest passion, and yeah, Bart, I appreciate the plug. I love photography. I think I'm halfway decent at it, and I have fun every single day. But the best part of my gift as a photographer is I got hooked up with an organization called Heart Gallery. And some genius in that organization got an idea one day. If you entered into the adoption process, one of the first things you're handed is like a loose leaf notebook with a bunch of terrible pictures of these poor kids. And most of these pictures are taken by the foster parents who don't know how to take a picture. And the kids are like at the kitchen table with cereal all over their face. And it's just pretty awful. And so somebody got this bright idea that we'll get photographers who are pretty competitive, actually, to donate their time, take really beautiful pictures of these children. And these are all children that might ordinarily never stand a chance of being adopted. Heart Gallery really works with a lot of kids that, you know, they're older, they have problems, they're ill, there's 4 of them, and they won't break up a family, you know. So these are tough cases. And what they thought was, we'll get professional photographers to take really beautiful pictures of these kids, and maybe that photograph will make somebody sit up and take notice where they ordinarily wouldn't have. And kind of in a nutshell, what I'm doing is the same thing I do every day. I'm marketing these kids, and that's my attitude about it. I sound cold-hearted when I'm discussing what I do for Heart Gallery. I sound like I'm, you know, I'm making branding for the kid, but in essence, I really am. I'm trying to put those kids in the best light possible, so that when somebody looks at their picture, they're going to go, "Oh my God!" And I even thought to myself, well, what if it's almost like false advertising? What if I'm making them look even a little better than they really are? Well, so what? What happens is if that picture gets them to go meet that kid, that's when the magic happens.
That is so beautiful.
They see that kid, they're there, and things happen, you know.
Oh,
So I'm not bamboozling anybody. I'm not like false advertising. If I take just a fantastic, the better the picture, the better. That's all I can say about that. Because if it gets somebody to meet that kid, we're halfway home, you know. So can I brag a little?
Yes.
All right. There's a fairly distinguished award that they hand out once a year to whoever had done a great deal of service in the adoption world here in Florida. And oh my God, I'm drawing a blank now. I can't think of who the reward's named after, and I can't jump up right now. Well, anyway, they gave me a 10-year achievement award at the courthouse in Clearwater a couple months ago for the work that I do with Heart Gallery and other adoption agencies. And they asked me to speak, and oh God, I'm not good at that at all. I mean, back in the showbiz days, you know, I could have a drink and I could say anything, but you know, when I'm sitting in front of 250 sober people and they asked me to get up and say something, it's a little tense. So I made a couple of really bad jokes. The first thing I said was how wonderful it was to be at the Clearwater Courthouse voluntarily for a change.
Well, I think that's funny.
Yeah, it kind of. The judge laughed, and he's in this big thing right directly behind me, and I heard him laugh. So I turned around to look at him, and I says, I get to go home when this is over, right? And that got another laugh. But
That's funny too.
But this is what I'm talking about, man. This is this is these are the changes that are happening in my life now, just because. Well, first of all, I got a little self-esteem in my life, but I don't look at things the way I used to anymore. It's not, I don't make myself crazy with self-help tapes, and I don't listen to people in my car every time I go anywhere or anything else. I read this little book, and I read a piece of it every night before I go to bed, and I read a piece of it every morning when I wake up. And I figure if I got that covered and the morning covered, the rest of it's just going to take care of itself, and it does. It really does. So my life now, my God, look at this house I'm living in. I just, my life is so full of miracles. It's crazy, but the least of which would be anything materialistic, although I dig it, I like sleeping in a nice bed. I like turning the air on, even if I don't really need to. I like all those things, but what I really like is when I get a phone call from somebody at Heart Gallery and they go, "The kids found a forever home." That's the best day ever right there. And I'm known, little brag, I am really known for moving kids. I have a really good track record. The kids that I shoot get adopted, and I absolutely love that. But I even have a little mini passion built into why I do that also. I don't know quite how to explain this. I grew up with a lot of stepfathers in my life, and none of them were willing to adopt me. And I'm going to give you a really short version of this, and some people are not going to follow what I'm talking about. But I ended up with a name that really doesn't have anything to do with me. And I have spent my entire life making people. My last name is Milos, and people will always ask me, Milos, is that Greek? And of course it's not, and I'm not. And so finally I came up with a funny little one-liner to dismiss the whole thing. And people say, Milos, is that Greek? I say, no, you see, my parents drank and traveled a lot. And people laugh, and it diffuses it, and they know that we don't need to dwell on this any further. But it's a really lousy thing to go through life having to make a joke about who you are. And that's why when these kids get adopted, they get a name. They get a name, and for the rest of their life, they can walk into a party, they can be introduced, they can shake somebody's hand and say, "Hi, I'm," and it means something. It's important to them. So that's the coolest part of all, is every time I do this, another kid gets a name forever. And I had a little teeny part in that. So that makes me feel good. So anyway, you want to see some Heart Gallery kids?
Yeah, I want
Yes.
to see the kids, and I have to tell you, what you're doing means so much to those kids. And thank you for all that you do. That's beautiful.
Well, I got tears
appreciate
in my eyes.
Oh, stop it.
I did.
And
I
apologize. I've always been kind of an emotional guy. It makes me a good entertainer,
No, wait, stop. What you're doing is amazing, and it's just so wonderful. I mean, one person hands out their hands and helps you out, and they didn't have to do that, but just by doing that, changed your entire life. And it's not like you were looking for a handout or you got a handout. You're somebody who cared enough about you to show you a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And in essence, that's also what you're really doing as well. And quite frankly, I mean, that's the purpose of this platform, just to show people, that it's possible. These things are possible. People are doing these kinds of things. what you're doing now and sharing this with us today, I can guarantee you it'll be an inspiration for others to do something like this or something else. And so I commend you, for sure sharing this real story, and thank you for that.
Yeah. Volunteer work is like the greatest thing ever. And I mean, anybody can do this. I mean, anybody can do this. You can. Oh, I started a new thing too with animal services. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do the heart gallery thing for animal services.
Cool.
I'm going to
Nice.
take pictures of dogs and, pick the ugliest dogs there that don't stand a chance and see if I could do something that'll make somebody go down and take a look at them. And then, like I said, we're halfway there. Once they actually meet the dog, then it's, but yeah, anybody can do this, man. I mean, you can get off your butt and you can go down to the SPCA and wash dogs for a few hours. Just give them a bath. The dogs will love it. You will love it. It's a win-win. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't hurt anybody. So why not?
You know who else can use some help in this world?
Who?
The older people, the elderly. And actually,
Yeah.
interestingly enough, in Holland, what they have this arrangement with the students that they can get free room and board in an elderly home. And all they have to do is like once a week or something like that, spend several hours,
I've
with
heard
the
that
elderly.
somewhere.
And what an amazing concept.
Yeah.
It's a win-win situation. But once again, it's the elderly that are also really very much forgotten. And
Yeah.
you can just brighten up their day so much, by just sitting with them, just talking, just being a person that they can talk to. So
Yeah.
yes, there's a lot that people can do.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So you're gonna share some pictures of the Heart Gallery.
Yeah. Okay. Now I've never done this before, so I'm going to fumble through this a little bit. Bart's probably going to squawk at me because I didn't do my homework on this.
That's all right. We'll be able to see all your private files.
Yeah, no, there's nothing to worry about on this computer. Yeah. So can you see that?
Oh wow,
They
it's
are
adorable.
cheese. Look at them.
These are the first kids I photographed for Heart Gallery. These kids
Nice.
were absolutely terrified to meet me. And I found out why. The foster parent explained to me about 15 minutes into my meeting them that they thought I was taking them away.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, these kids, they get tossed around from one foster home to another foster home to another foster home, and they never know who's taking them away from a situation that they just got a little comfortable with. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we went for a walk, me and Lizzie. She was the most scared one of all. That's the little bitty girl. And we started our photo shoot. And the last trigger of the day is probably my favorite photograph I've ever taken in my whole life. And that's it.
Nice. Is this recent, Skip?
No, this is when I first started with Heart Gallery.
First started.
Yeah. I think I have a neat statistic for you. I think Heart Gallery celebrated their 360th adoption here in Pasco and Pinellas. And I shot 45 of them.
Oh my
Nice.
gosh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and they have like 50 photographers that volunteer for them. So I've been busy. But it's the most rewarding program in the whole world.
And this is all over the United States?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And these four kids, they did a documentary on. I didn't even bring this up. It's probably a little too long. It's a beautiful documentary. And it featured me having a photo shoot with these four kids is what the documentary was about. But they interviewed the kids, they interviewed me, and then they just kind of showed all of the candid stuff during the photo shoot itself. And man, if you think you need tissue paper to watch something, the documentary that they did is incredible. I mean, you get a little insight into what it's like to be these kids, and it's not easy to watch. It's really not, but it was beautifully done, and it's on my website. If you go to skipmilos.com, and then scroll down and click on the About Skip Milos link. There's a section there about giving back to the community,
Right.
and that video is right there. And it's like I say, it's only about 5 or 6 minutes, but wow, is it ever worth watching?
Do you get to stay in contact with the kids that you do the photo shoots with?
A little bit, and some of them more than others, obviously. But one of my favorite things, and I don't very often get to do this, when I set up the photo shoots with the kids, I can set it up based on my schedule. You know, I work with them, but it's still kind of based on my schedule. Let me get this back here because I don't know what I'm doing. But what happens is when they get adopted, then there's a finalization in the courthouse, wherever that courthouse may be. And that's another thing that is so much fun to watch, because the judge interviews the kids, and then they interview the parents a little, and the judges in general are pretty smart, you know. I mean, and they're also in general pretty witty and funny at times. And the questions they ask are huge. Remember that show, Kids Say the Darndest Things, that was on a million? Man, I'm showing my age now. You remember that show, Bart? Kids Say the Darndest Things?
No, I don't think I remember that one.
Well, they
I'm
would
not as old
interview
as you
little
are.
kids, and they would come up with the, you know, nowadays you probably get in trouble. It'd have to be, but that's kind of what it's like. But I get to be there at the moment that their adoption becomes finalized and legal forever, right at that very moment, you know, and that's really neat. So of course I'm there taking pictures of that too, and whatnot. But yeah, it's I don't know how to count my blessings these days. I mean, I really wouldn't even know where to start. I get to do things that I love, that I'm so passionate about, things that I would do for free. I hope the Rays aren't watching this. Oh yeah. um, I mean, things that I just can't wait to get out and do every day. I get to do for a living, and then not it's not only that, but then I get to take that same talent and that same God-given gift, you know, and apply it to charity work. Oh God, how do you beat that? You know, so it's pretty cool. I mean, it's very cool to be Skip Milos these days. Sure is.
You know, it's interesting what you just said, and you know, when it's hard to describe, you know, the experience that we get to have, you know, when we help others like that are very much in need, you know, like the children or the elderly. You know, I've done a lot of humanitarian work in other countries,
Mm.
and
Yeah, I know you have.
you know, at first, you know, I was thinking, you know, why would I go to another country and when we have so many problems in our own country and everything else, but I couldn't figure out what it is that I could do. And then I finally went to El Salvador, and it was a very emotional trip at so many different levels. And I remember going to a small clinic, and people would walk, you know, for days, 2, 3 days, you know, just to get to that clinic. And so we could help them. We were there for a week, and we'd be operating till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes without any anesthesia. And all the other groups were doing all sorts of other things and bringing clothes and toys but it was life changing for me, that experience. I had no idea what it was going to be like, and it's such a beautiful experience. I think I got more out of it than they did. Um, and so I understand, you know, what it is that you do, and honestly, what I did too is after the tsunami hit in Sri Lanka or Indonesia in 2005, around this time actually, I went down there, did a lot of photography and interviews, and was actually interviewed by ABC News. But my purpose actually was to, when it came back, to do this photojournalism and share with the world what's going on in the world, if only just to inspire others, you know, to do something like you're doing something local. And, you know, listening to you today, you know, I know people will be thinking, oh my gosh, you know, here's a guy that does so much. You know, what is it that I can do, even if it's a small thing, even if it's a random act of kindness? So I never knew all this about you, Skip. And so
Ah,
I'm actually very grateful
yeah.
um, to hear all this, and honestly, I feel now blessed that I get to share this with the world. What are you thinking, Wendy? What's on in your mind?
Right now, I'm just in awe over everything that you both have accomplished. You know, we all have our ways of paying back to society, and I think it's very beautiful that you both found your ways. So keep going.
Yeah, I don't mind, if I inspire somebody, oh, happy days. But some people that are, closer to me, I actually kind of beat them up about it. And I'm not bashful about that in the least. And you want to know why? Because I know they're going to get more out of it than anybody. That's the thing. This is a win-win. There's no way you can do this and have a bad day. There's no way you can get out and help somebody and not have a really, really great day, one of the best days you've ever had in your whole life. So I'm not trying to get people to go out and do stuff that they're not, that's only about the person they're doing it for. It's great for the person doing it. I mean, you just can't lose. I love the expression, you can't keep it if you're not willing to give it away. As simple as that.
Right. Wow, I like that.
Yeah. It's as
And
simple as that.
also, bringing a little bit of science behind all that, if you will, is that they've done studies when people are watching other people doing some sort of act of kindness,
Hmm.
is that they get to experience that as well, and it elevates their energy, elevates their vibration,
Yeah.
in a very nice way.
Yeah.
So, if people want to help out with things like this with a heart gallery, I mean, can you give them any kind of the recommendation? Obviously, go to your website. And what's the name of the website again?
Whose website?
Yours.
Oh, mine is just my name, Skip Milos, SKIPMILOS.com. Uh, and if you scroll down and click on About Skip Milos, you know how everybody has the About Us page. At the bottom of that page, there's a little segment on giving back to the community. And I list some of the things that I'm currently doing, at the time on that page. And that, like I say, that video was there. You got to watch that video. And Wendy, you too. But I'm not kidding. You better have some Kleenex ready because, oh, wow. But there are links to Heart Gallery right there. And I think there's links to a few other things. I'm going to be adding, actually, I've done volunteer work for the Humane Society and for horse rescues up in Brooksville. And I don't have any of those listed on there. I don't know why. I need to get busy and put them all on there and links to them too. But I just thought of that today, as a matter of fact. Why aren't I taking pictures of these dogs? You know, why aren't I doing that? Whenever I got another extra time, run up there and take a few photographs and see what happens. So I got the best gig in the world, man. I mean, I can go out and make money at this, and then I can give back with this, and ah, ah.
So I have a question for you, actually. I mean, all this work that you
Okay,
get to do, I mean, are people ever reaching out to you and see how they can support you and help you do these same things? Because,
absolutely not.
right. So anybody who's listening in on this, reach out to Skip,
Yeah,
and find out what they can do and support this. I mean, what a beautiful thing. I think I'm going to get my camera and do the same.
I'm actually kind of guilty of being kind of quiet about it all. I don't. I mean, I just recently even put anything on my website about giving back to the community. I added that literally within the last 3 months of my whole life. I don't know why I've been quiet about this part of my life. Um, Maybe I was worried about, looking like I was trying to say I'm not in this for me is the understatement of the year. I mean, I am so. Heart Gallery did a thing a few years ago where they played this video, and they always invite me to these big fundraisers, partly because this is going to sound awful. I'm kind of a celebrity photographer. I mean, I shoot a lot of famous people. I'm fortunate enough to to get this kind of work. But I'm really well known in the community. I really, really am. And I know Heart Gallery likes that, because they're drumming up money for the kids, and the more people they can get, get the whole, I understand that. but I was always bashful about attending any of these things because I don't like people making a big deal about it, and I don't know. So this one particular event, I must have had 10 people from Heart Gallery contact me. You have to come to this event. You have to come to this. You have to promise us you'll be there. I'm like, all right, I'll be there. And then they seated me at the A table, and I thought, uh-oh, something's up. I mean, I got a governor on one side and Major League Baseball's finest pitcher on the other side, and next to him was and it goes on and on and on. And then they lowered the lights and played that documentary that I had never even seen, right? And the next thing I know, I'm in a receiving line. I mean, and all I could say to anybody is, oh my God, this is not why I do this. This is crazy. This is so not why I do this. But it was kind of nice. But you're right. This isn't something I should keep quiet about. This isn't something that I should just keep to myself. This is not, it's not like that. This is something I should be screaming from rooftops. Because you're right, Bart. You're right. If it inspires one other person, to get busy and to do things like this, that person's going to have a really happy day,
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's a no-brainer that the people they help are going to have a happy day. I'm talking about most people
Right.
don't realize how much you get out of it. I feel selfish half the time I do this stuff because I know how I'm going to feel at the end of the day. So I guess,
There's an interesting saying, a great saying actually. What you do in private, you get rewarded in public.
yeah.
And so, again, it's not about showcasing. It's not about grandstanding
Nope.
or any of this.
Nope.
And, you have people out there, and honestly, I mean, I had seen so much of that. That was kind of, off-putting for me. And that's why in the past I didn't do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt as a surgeon and as a medical professional, I was giving and contributing a lot anyhow to people's well-being.
Right.
But doing it, from the perspective of, it's a selfless contribution where you expect nothing in return.
Right.
The impact is so phenomenally profound.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even describe it. And I would say, like I said, I mean, it's almost like I get more out of it than they do, but it's not from okay, let me get some of this. No, you can't help but have these incredible feelings. And quite frankly, I mean, the way that you're describing it now, I mean, I hold it in when I talk about this, but Skip, if people are getting it, people are getting the experience just, from you right now.
Yeah.
And I would love for people just to get excited about doing something, reaching out to you perhaps. I'd love to invite, people actually to reach out to you or leave a comment on your Facebook page. We're going to put your Facebook page on here too, so that they can, mention, hey, yeah, thank you for this. Let's do something. And, here's another truth. And, we all, we all need help. We all need the support. We do so much better, when we all work together. And if we could, as a culture, as a nation, as a world, if you will, just help other people, just not so much giving handouts in that sense, but just help.
Yeah.
And our life, our world would be so different. We don't have to be so focused on our little world and what is it that we need right now, and be so egocentric and selfish in that sense. I would say
Worst days I ever have is when I start feeling, ungrateful and I still slip into that. I slip back into that every now and then. I'm not perfect. This is when your life changes like this, it's not like some big, white light that, matter of fact, this is another thing that Alec described to me, and he's absolutely right. There is no hocus pocus involved in this, meditation, nothing to it. It's every single change that I have gone through in my life is because I changed a bad habit and replaced it with a good habit. And I mean, it's nothing more than a habit. It's as simple as that. So there's nothing for anybody that's thinking that, they got to, like I was talking before. I mean, I like the self-help tapes once in a while, and I certainly like the people that make them, and I know their heart's in the right place and everything. But you don't need a bunch of that stuff. You really don't. You just need to be willing to change one bad habit and watch that grow, and then and then it becomes like anything else. If you're a good addict like I am, I mean, if you're the type of person that when you do something that feels good, you got to have more and more and more. But well, think how wonderful that is if that's what you're jonesing for.
Right.
If that's the thing you need when you get up in the morning, how great is that? This is one of my favorite examples. My girlfriend and I run all over the country, um, shooting beautiful places and places that most people have never seen, and actually a few countries really. Um, and we love kayaking the nature coast in Florida, all the rivers up there. Just so many of them, I wouldn't even know where to start. And we have always, every single time we go kayaking or anytime we just hike or whatever, we always have a garbage bag every single time without fail. So this is how simple this is. You know what we got for Christmas last year for each other? His and her grabbers. Yeah.
I love this.
So the bottles that are like 6 feet down at the bottom of the water, we don't have to pass those up anymore either. So now we come back with a whole kayak full of crap. But oh my God, that makes a really fun day so much better. And then when you come back, you got about 10 people going, where's all that from? Well, we pick up garbage every time we go out there. Oh, no kidding. Oh yeah, it's great. It gives us a great feeling, makes the river look better. And guess what? Every now and then, one of those people start doing the same thing. How crazy is that? You didn't have to beat anybody up. You didn't have to lecture them. You didn't have to be boastful about, oh, look at us, how great we are. We just made it fun. That's all it is. Just made it fun. Yeah. So
These are ideas that we can just spread. I mean, I never thought of that, by the way. And you know what? I think I'm going to go on Amazon today, get my grabber, and so I can, when I go kayaking next time, I'm going to do the same thing.
And
go ahead, Wendy.
You can also use it to get other people's attention, like kind of grab them by the side with your grabber. So that'd be fun. I want one.
Don't give one to Wendy.
Like a butt grabber. I'll use it as a butt grabber.
We've had a little sideline fun with them, I guess. Come to think of it, yeah, we're out in the woods. What the heck? But a really wise guy once told me that there's probably nothing more selfless you can do than pick up trash on the side of a highway. And I always thought, most of my life, I thought, what kind of a chump is going to go out on the side of a highway and pick up garbage? I mean, anything more positive to do today than that? I'll tell you what, that gives you a feeling that I can't even describe. I really don't even have words for how you feel if you spend an afternoon picking up garbage on the side of a highway, not your front yard, not even your neighbor's front yard, a highway that has nothing to do with you or anybody else, it seems like, that's really, I don't know. I can't explain it. Like I said, I'm not good at public speaking. Okay.
I think you're doing great. I'm actually pretty much speechless. I mean, my interviews.
First version of it, I'll tell you that right now.
No, my interviews typically, I'm doing a lot of the talking, and the interviewee is doing some.
Am I talking too much?
You got me speechless. But besides the fact that you don't let me talk anyhow.
Well, I don't know. I think you and I do okay when we're one-on-one. I think we hold our own.
No, you just keep on talking. I just sit down past it.
I have always admired you for so many of the things you've done. The one thing that you and I need to do is we need to do one of these things together, one of these days.
Yeah.
You do your thing. I'll document it.
Sounds good. Actually, I'm going to invite you to something even totally awesome, actually. I wouldn't say even better, but absolutely wonderful. And anybody who's listening who may have an interest in this, I'm going with a group to New Zealand for about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And we're going to go out to all the coolest places, but it's also a humanitarian trip. And there's tribes up there that are being neglected, just like they were being neglected in all the countries of the world. Mm-hmm. And what's really important is that, there's a big shift in consciousness, globally. And we're really entering more in that, feminine energy.
Right.
And these tribes, basically represent Mother Nature. And we are abusing the environment. We're abusing the world. And I'm not against corporations doing what they need to do, because people need jobs.
Yeah.
But the truth is that we have to become smarter,
Yeah.
and we have to take. And you know what? You can look at big corporations doing bad things, but you know what? Throwing trash by the freeway is also, a bad thing. And so everybody's guilty here. And
Yeah.
so the cool thing about this trip is that we'll be helping the tribes with their own sustainability, if you will, by
Mhm.
bringing water solutions. Water is a big issue with many of these tribes. We'd
Right.
love to have you on there as one of the photographers, having fun. Wendy already committed; she's going to go.
I'm
Already
all
told
about
me.
having fun.
I
That's for
love
sure.
New Zealand. Yes, I loved it there.
Are you going? You going to come with
When is it?
in May, end of April, beginning of May?
If I could save up enough to go, I think that'd be awesome.
Oh, yes, you can. You will. It's an incredible. It was a life-changing trip for me when I went to Ecuador, and honestly, because of that trip, that humanitarian trip, really crystallized what it is that I do today. And in a way, I'm also contributing. It's a different form of a contribution. But what I love about my platform here is I get to contribute new voices, new solutions, and new transformations for people. I mean, all this is free work that I do, and I'm very passionate about it, because I want people to hear voices like yours. I get to speak to Wendy all the time, at least once a week, and it's fun. And her story is also very inspiring. I mean, she went through a major shift in her life, and she wasn't as, this is the wrong way to say it, but she wasn't as lucky as some other people, because she had some challenges. But in essence, she was very lucky because she had those challenges, because
Yeah.
that's where she's at today. And
I
the
know
same
exactly
thing,
what you mean. Yeah.
same thing with you. And I've been very fortunate, a very blessed life, and I'm realizing, I'm not going to settle. I'm going to, there's a book out there, Megan Kelly, and I love the title, Settle for More. There's
Yeah.
so much more in this life that we can go for. And that's the whole purpose of this platform, to have people like yourself inspire others, say, you know what, I'm going to start picking up trash by the freeway. And,
Yeah.
I mean, how cool will that be?
So I spend a lot of time doing affirmations now. I firmly believe in the power of affirmations. I firmly believe in the power of the spoken word. So when I do affirmations, I don't just think them, I say them. And health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. That's the square of my life. That's it.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's it. So now, you guys can talk and whatnot, but can I show a couple of pictures?
Well, we only have like
I
1
know.
minute left.
Oh, 1
So
minute?
you got 30 seconds to show one picture, and then we're done, because
Okay.
Make it a good
Wendy,
one. No.
Wendy's going to take us
Good
off
one,
the
did you
air.
say?
Make a
Okay.
good one, she said.
You can
Make it a
you
good
can see my
picture.
whole screen now, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, we
Okay.
can.
Pictures. This is the most beautiful place on earth, right here.
Where is this? Grand Canyon?
The
Like
bottom
house.
of the Grand Canyon.
Yep.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
actually hiked the Grand Canyon a couple times.
Yeah.
Love.
So I guess if I only have a second here, I got to show a couple of quick pictures of Sue because she's really important in my life. And
You's a hottie.
oh, she's very, very cute.
Look at her. Rare.
Yeah. So can you see that?
Yep.
And
One more picture, Skip, and
one
then we're
more.
going to wrap it up.
Okay.
Oh,
I
that
love that shot too. That's so
Yeah.
fun.
that is so
That,
cool.
that is so cool. That's awesome.
Mm.
So
Bart,
I really want
to
to
thank you
thank you.
so much.
Yeah, I want to thank you, Skip. This was an absolute gem today. I really appreciate your authenticity, and this is that platform where authentic voices, and it's not scripted. There's no agenda here.
Oh,
It's
I'm sure
real.
your viewers are going to have no doubt that this was not scripted on my part.
But that's with all of them, and then it's just sharing new voices, new solutions, your transformation. So once again, I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, prescription for your transformation, broadcasting worldwide with Radio Star Worldwide, out in Arizona with Skip Milos from Skip Milos Productions, and I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker here in Tampa, Florida. Thank you so much. God bless, and Merry Christmas. And I'll be back tomorrow on Facebook alone.
Merry Christmas, you guys.